It's safe to say that Fnatic fans will be entering 2021 with some seriously mixed feelings. After a solid Season 10 that saw them make it to the quarterfinals of Worlds and nearly take out one of the tournament favourites in top esports, they've come into 2021 with a new look for the roster and a very notable absence in the bottom lane. With many teams strengthening up and changing their rosters, it's fair to assume that many Fnatic fans are unsure of what their expectations for 2021 should be. Fear not, we're back with our What to Expect series, and this time we're shining the light on EU stalwarts Fnatic. First off, let's break down the departures. There have been movements on both the managerial and player fronts that have been of note at Fnatic. Head coach Nisky has left the team after a year to join Cloud9 as an assistant coach, cementing his reunification with Zven and Perkz from the G2 days of old. He's been replaced by Yamato Cannon, who was last seen in the LCK coaching Sandbox Gaming. Yamato did a great job with Sandbox, and has a great track record of good micromanagement of teams. He took unlikely candidates Splice and Vitality to Worlds in 2016 and 2018 respectively. It's great to have Yamato back in Europe. Not only does he bring an exciting and interesting style of play to teams, but his suits and shirts are something to behold as well. Next up, the player departures. There have been some changes in the mid and bottom lanes for Fnatic. Slovenian mid laner Nemesis is out, and in his place they've signed Nisky from Cloud9, who was offloaded to make space for Perkz coming in. In some ways, the Perkz transfer has impacted a good amount of the deals made this off-season. One good example is Fnatic's other departure, and one that nobody really expected to happen. Rekkles has become the second Fnatic player to cross the divide and join their fierce rivals G2, after running down his contract and becoming a free agent. He will be replaced by ex-Schalke and Origin ADC Upset, which has already sparked a bit of a saga before they've even loaded onto Summoner's Rift for the first time. Before we start getting into the replacements for Nemesis and Rekkles, we should give Fnatic some serious props for holding on to Bwipo, Selfmade and Hylissang. These three are some of the best in their positions in the LEC, with Bwipo and Selfmade being ranked first in their roles in our fantasy game. Bwipo's happy to lose out somewhat in lane to allow Selfmade to focus on getting mid and bot ahead. It's ideal for them, especially as his champion pool especially backs this playstyle up. Ornn, Gangplank and Set are all champions that can gracefully lose lane while holding their own with minimal jungle input. Selfmade is an impeccable aggressive jungler, and in the coming year I fully expect him to be the star of Fnatic's lineup. His kill participation of 69.2% is high, even among high kill junglers, and Selfmade is often dumpstering his opponents early as well as late. At 15 minutes, Selfmade is ahead in farm in 69.1% of his matches, is on average 84 gold ahead and 323 XP ahead, a good chunk of a level. He's also a participant in 35.3% of Fnatic First Bloods, showing his great skill at manoeuvring into lanes to get those early advantages for him and his team. Hilly is one that Fnatic fans might not be as pleased about, but at Worlds we saw what Hilly could do and that he still has his Unicorns of Love revolutionary playstyle in him. Hylissang's skill on hook-based playmaking champions like Nautilus and Thresh, as well as less tanky options like Rakan, make him a great and versatile teammate to work with. Notching up an average of 0.28 takedowns per minute isn't an easy task. On average, Hilly contributes to a takedown every 3 and a bit minutes. With their new ADC being known for aggressive playstyles and a focus on lane dominance, Hilly could be just what the doctor ordered for Fnatic. Replacing Nemesis in mid is Nisky, fresh from Cloud9. This is the 4th time now that Nisky has crossed the pond, from Fnatic Academy to Team Envy, to Splice, to Cloud9, and now back to Fnatic. There was plenty of talk that Fnatic would be getting Leader instead, but those rumours remain just that, and Nisky signed on the dotted line not long after. While Nisky might not be a marquee signing, he's still a solid player overall and can fill a role in the team that has been lacking. His predecessor Nemesis was largely solid on hard carry mage champions, but when it came to more utility based champions, the team was left wanting. With Nisky, this won't be so much of a problem. The Belgian mid laner is a dab hand on champions like Galio, holding a 76.7% win rate on him over 13 games in his career. Nemesis leads the two in terms of how ahead they are at the 15-minute mark, with 58.8% of games where he's ahead, compared to Nisky's 40.4%. However, Nisky had a substantially higher kill participation rate, 72.4% compared to Nemesis's 56.7%. Overall, I feel this move is a slight upgrade, but it's far from the perks that many fans felt might actually happen. However, what Nisky lacks in terms of gameplay, he'll make up for in team cohesion. Many pros have said that Nisky is a pleasure to work with and play alongside, and very rarely gets tilted after a bad game or two. In a Fnatic team that's going to be chock filled with big personalities this year, a calm head in the form of Nisky could be a very, very good thing. Let's get stuck into the bot lane situation. Losing Reckless is going to be a massive hit for Fnatic, and even the most dedicated of Fnatic fans will agree that eventually it will hurt the team. And as for the replacement that they brought in, the jury's still out. Upset, who was last seen on Origin, who finished rock bottom in summer 2020, has been brought in, and there's a decent case for why he'll succeed, but a couple of reasons why he might not as well. The stats do back Upset up. He's a 1v9 machine. He and Alphari were the only bright sparks in that Origin team last year, and in almost every match they were the sole reasons Origin ended up picking up a win. He had a 72.3% kill participation value last season, which is high for his role, and he was often winning lane, being on average 7 CS, 137 gold and 182 experience up on his opponent at the 15-minute mark. He's a strong ADC, and it'll be really interesting to see how he can do now he has a solid support behind him and a team where he doesn't need to put his back out carrying them to a victory every time. However, on the other hand, there have already been some team cohesion problems via Bwipo. During a post-Worlds episode of I Will Dominate and Thorin's podcast, The Crackdown, Bwipo aired some serious grievances about Fnatic's team. He revealed he wanted self-made swaps for Jankos in the off-season due to Jankos' impact on lanes rather than focusing on his own lead, and he even told Selfmade this himself. But the most relevant point here is that he seriously doesn't rate Upset. In his interview he said that whenever Upset is mentioned, he struggles not to think of him as a serial choker, and he thinks of Upset as a toggle-on player that always demands resources even when they can be better used somewhere else. And finally, that he also believes that Upset may have been one of the main reasons Origin performed so poorly in summer. It's safe to say that a couple of team bonding dinners is unlikely to fix this problem, and Yamato Cannon will need to watch both of these players very carefully to avoid a breaking point style situation happening in the Fnatic house. Overall, Fnatic have made the best of a rough situation and have a good squad on paper. I can see this team performing decently this year, definitely not competing regularly with G2, but I think they're a good shout for second place once again. It all really hinges on if Upset and Bwipo come to blows over their differences, and if the coaching staff can keep them both on a short leash to avoid the team mental booming. That's all for today. Let us know what you think about Fnatic's chances going into 2021, and whether you think Fnatic can challenge G2 and reclaim their crown as the LEC's top dogs. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.